The USS Boxer, a massive amphibious assault ship, was expected to support Middle East operations. Instead, it was suddenly redirected to the South China Sea. This movement follows the winding down of conflicts in the Middle East, as the Pentagon shifts its naval priorities back toward the strategic competition unfolding across the Pacific. A specific CIA intelligence assessment is now driving the urgency within these deployments, providing a clear timeline for the region's future. The deadline is 2027. According to American intelligence, that is the year President Xi Jinping has ordered the People's Liberation Army to be ready to take Taiwan by force. This 2027 deadline transforms an abstract geopolitical rivalry into a concrete ticking clock for every branch of the U.S. military. The problem for the Pentagon is that this 2027 deadline arrives at the exact moment the United States Navy reaches its most vulnerable numerical state. This chart tracks the two rival navies. The Chinese Navy climbed to 350 active vessels, overtaking the U.S. as the largest maritime force. Projecting forward to 2027, the American fleet drops to a low of 280 ships, while China's climbs. America will hit its weakest point in terms of ship count at the same time the Chinese military reaches its mandated peak. This map illustrates what military strategists call the first island chain. It is a geographic barrier of U.S. allies stretching across the Asian coastline, and right in the middle, acting as the fulcrum to the entire Pacific, is Taiwan. To control that fulcrum, China has developed highly specialized munitions. Weapons like the DF-21D and DF-26 are long-range, precision-guided ballistics known as carrier killers, engineered specifically to hit American ships and keep them miles away from the coastline. But physical weapons are only half of the strategy. The People's Liberation Army has also spent years constructing an unconventional intelligence dragnet to map the patrol routes and acoustic signatures of American submarines. Foreign intelligence agencies are deploying unmanned detection buoys, wave gliders, and sophisticated sensors hidden inside living marine animals. Chinese state media even broadcasts warnings to local fishermen to watch out for these so-called spy turtles. China's objective is to build a massive anti-access fortress around Taiwan, intended to deny the U.S. Navy entry to the theater entirely. Inside the Pentagon, the response to this buildup is hampered by recent history. Over the last 20 years, the Navy spent $55 billion on two primary shipbuilding investments that failed to deliver. The Zumwalt class of destroyers was intended to be the next leap in naval warfare. The military originally ordered 32 of them. Due to extreme cost overruns, they only launched 3, at a price of $8 billion per ship. During this same period, the domestic commercial shipbuilding industry collapsed. The United States went from relying on more than 30 active shipyards to just 7 today. That lack of infrastructure created a multi-year maintenance backlog. Ships needing repairs are left waiting in port, unable to return to sea. Despite these bottlenecks, the U.S. retains a massive advantage in deep water. The Navy operates 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, each capable of deploying hundreds of precision munitions daily. China currently operates 2 diesel-fueled carriers. Below the surface, America's silent service remains dominant. The nuclear-powered fast-attack submarine fleet is considered a full technological generation ahead of Chinese capabilities. Planners are also accelerating the development of stealthy, unmanned platforms like the highly classified Orca submarine, designed for clandestine mine-laying. Because the U.S. cannot match China's shipyard volume, the survival of the American fleet depends on protecting these advanced, specialized assets in a fight. To utilize those advanced assets, the United States must overcome the tyranny of distance, fighting a war across thousands of miles of open ocean. If China's long-range missiles force American supply ships to stay far away from the Taiwan Strait, the U.S. needs alternative ways to rearm and repair without returning to Hawaii or California. The Pentagon solution is a $500 million request to pre-position military equipment in a dispersed web across multiple allied locations in the Indo-Pacific. This Pacific map highlights the strategy's centerpiece. Tender documents show the U.S. Navy is spending $30 million to build a permanent arms depot in Victoria, Australia, far beyond China's immediate defenses. By 2028, This secure hub will extend logistical reach outward to active U.S. forces. By establishing this sprawling, deep water supply network, the U.S. signals that any conflict over Taiwan would likely be a protracted war of attrition. The race to 2027 has evolved into a scramble to build a resilient supply web capable of sustaining the fleet under fire. The intelligence points to 2027 as the year Beijing wants its military ready. That is the year the American fleet drops to its lowest ship count in modern history. If the order comes to cross the strait, the question is whether America's distant network of stockpiles and submarines will be fully operational in time.